The battlefield was silent, except for the dying hum of burned-out engines and the soft hiss of cooling metal. The human medic, Lieutenant Kael Renn, moved through the wreckage with a scanner in hand. He had seen too much death already. Soldiers, civilians, even children of alien worlds caught in wars they never chose. But this was different. This planet, Xytheris 9, wasn't on any star map he knew. His escape pod had crash-landed here after his ship was destroyed by a plasma storm. Now, he wandered through ruins that told of an empire older than human civilization itself. As he scanned the wrecks, a faint life signature pinged on his wrist display. Barely perceptible, buried beneath collapsed debris. The signal pulsed weakly, like a heartbeat fading into oblivion. Kael dropped his pack and dug through twisted metal and shards of armor. Beneath them lay a figure, tall, slender, and draped in shredded silver cloth that shimmered like liquid starlight. Her skin was pale violet, her veins faintly glowing. An ornate crown of broken metal circled her head, half melted by energy fire. She wasn't just any alien. She radiated presence, something regal, ancient. "Hey," Kael whispered, kneeling beside her. "You're still alive. Hang on." The alien's eyes fluttered open, twin shards of gold that focused on him with both pain and disbelief. "You a human," she rasped. "Why do you touch me?" "Because you're bleeding out," Kael said, activating his medkit. "And I don't let anyone die on my watch, even if they look at me like I'm an infection." A ghost of a smile touched her lips, then vanished beneath a grimace of pain. He sprayed sealant over a deep plasma wound in her abdomen, then injected nanites from his field syringe. Her vitals stabilized. "Barely." "Rest," Kael said softly. "You're safe now." Her eyes closed, but her final words before losing consciousness sent a chill down his spine. "Foolish human. You have touched the Empress of Xythera." Part 2, The Awakening. For 2 days, Kael tended to her wounds in the ruins of a downed battleship. Her regenerative ability was extraordinary. His nanites only accelerated what her biology was already designed to do. He learned her name through her mutterings in sleep. Azelara Vynn, last Empress of the Xytheran Dominion. The same empire that had vanished from galactic records centuries ago. Destroyed in a cataclysmic war that burned half a quadrant. Yet here she was, alive. When she finally awoke, her golden eyes were sharper. Assessing, calculating. "You saved me," she said quietly, her voice smoother now, carrying an accent that resonated like music. Kael nodded. "You're lucky. The crash site still irradiated. I had to drag you a kilometer through ash." Azelara tilted her head. "And why, human, would you risk your life for a being you do not know?" Kael shrugged, checking the portable solar generator. "Because we're all just trying to survive. Doesn't matter what color our blood is." She stared at him for a long time, then said something he didn't expect. "You speak as if your species has known pain." Kael gave a tired smile. "We've known enough." He told her of Earth's wars, of humanity's near extinction during the solar collapse, of how humans learned to rebuild and explore, to reach for the stars even when the stars didn't want them. She listened silently. When he finished, she said only, "You are brave, human. Or foolish. I cannot yet tell which." Part 3, Shadows of the Past. Days passed. Kael repaired a comm beacon, hoping to signal a passing freighter. Meanwhile, Azelara regained strength at an alarming rate. Her body seemed to draw energy from the planet itself. But something else stirred within her, a force that made the air hum whenever she meditated. The ground around her shimmered faintly, and once, Kael swore he saw her eyes flare like miniature suns. Then one night, as twin moons rose, she stood outside the wreckage, her gaze fixed on the horizon. "They will come for me," she murmured. Kael frowned. "Who?" "My enemies. Those who ended my reign, and those who feared it might begin again." A low rumble shook the air. Kael checked his scanner. Multiple ships entering atmosphere. "Guess you were right," he muttered. Her expression darkened. "Hide, Kael Renn. This is not your battle." But Kael shook his head. "I didn't drag you out of the dirt to watch you die again." Part 4. The Empress revealed. The sky split open as Xytheran hunters descended. Biomechanical war drones, their armor glistening like obsidian scales. They were beautiful in a terrifying way, built for one purpose: annihilation. Azelara stepped forward, no armor, no weapon. Just the weight of forgotten power in her stance. Kael tried to stop her. "You're still weak." She turned to him and her voice deepened, not from her throat but from the air itself. "I am never weak." Light exploded around her. Energy ribbons coiled from her body like solar flares, reshaping the very dust beneath her feet into glass. The hunters hesitated, as if recognizing her aura. Then one spoke in a guttural mechanical tone. "Identity match. Empress Azelara. Classification: terminated entity. Execute confirmation." Azelara smiled. "Let them try." The ground erupted. Kael shielded his eyes as waves of light tore through the air. The Empress raised her hands, and invisible shockwaves obliterated the first wave of drones. The rest opened fire, streams of plasma and ion bolts slicing the night, but every shot bent away from her, absorbed into a vortex of radiant energy. When the dust cleared, hundreds of hunters lay broken, their metallic bodies scattered like leaves. Azelara stood in the center, her silver garments now glowing, her eyes burning with fury and sorrow. Kael could only whisper, "You're not just an empress." She turned to him slowly. "I was their weapon long before I was their queen." Part 5. The Truth of Xythera. When the storm of battle ended, Azelara collapsed, her energy spent. Kael caught her before she hit the ground. "Easy. You're bleeding again." She smiled faintly. "No. I am remembering." She told him the truth then, of what the galaxy had forgotten. The Xytheran Dominion had not fallen to war. It had fallen to fear. Azelara had been engineered by her people to be a perfect ruler, a hybrid of mind and weapon, designed to unite galaxies through strength. But when she ascended the throne, the High Council feared what she could become. They turned on her, launched their weapons, wiped their own homeworlds rather than let her reign. "I was betrayed," she whispered, "entombed in stasis beneath my own palace, until your pod's crash shattered my prison." Kael felt a chill. "So my accident woke you." "Your kindness woke me," she corrected softly. "And perhaps your species' courage reminded me of what I once fought for." Part 6. The Empire's Return. They didn't have long to rest. Azelara's awakening had triggered a signal, one powerful enough to be detected across light years. Soon not just hunters would come but fleets. Kael knew they had to leave. He scavenged parts from wrecks, rebuilding an ancient Xytheran shuttle. With Azelara's help, they got it flight-worthy. As they lifted off, Kael glanced back at the ruined landscape. "What now?" Azelara's golden eyes gleamed. "Now I reclaim what was lost." The shuttle broke atmosphere, gliding into the black sea of stars. Ahead lay a graveyard of ships, derelicts orbiting a shattered moon. Azelara guided the shuttle to its heart. "This," she said, "was once my throne fleet. She reached out, and the dormant ships stirred. One by one, colossal dreadnoughts came alive, their power cores reigniting after centuries. Kael stared in awe. "You just woke an entire armada." Her gaze softened. "No, Kael Renn. You did. You gave the Empress something she had lost, faith." Part 7: The Invasion. Before they could chart a course, a new signal appeared. Hostile, massive. The Xytheran Collective, a cybernetic species that had seized control of half the quadrant, had detected the power surge. A fleet of 1,000 ships dropped from warp, black hulls glowing red. Kael gripped the controls. "We can't fight that." Azalara's voice was calm, almost serene. "You will not. I will." She rose, moving to the command nexus of her flagship, a towering vessel shaped like a crescent moon. Her presence awakened the ship's AI, which greeted her with reverence. "Welcome back, Empress. Shall we resume control of the Dominion?" "Not yet," she said. "First, we protect the human who restored me." The flagship's energy matrix flared as Azelara synchronized with its core. Kael watched as entire starships answered her call, forming ranks behind her. The battle that followed was apocalyptic. Energy beams carved through the void. Shockwaves rippled across space as Xytheran ships collided with Xytheran dreadnoughts. Kael manned the auxiliary systems, struggling to keep up with the sheer scale of destruction. At the heart of it all, Azelara stood in the command chamber, eyes burning brighter than any star, voice resonating through the fleet's collective mind. "I am Azelara Vynn, last daughter of Xythera. You seek conquest, I offer justice. Leave this galaxy or face its wrath reborn." Her words became energy. Literally. A pulse of light erupted from her ship, disintegrating entire swaths of enemy vessels. When the battle ended, silence reigned. The Xytheran fleet was gone, vaporized. Kael turned to her, awestruck. "You ended a war, in minutes." She looked out at the stars, voice quiet. "War never truly ends. It only sleeps." Part 8: The Farewell. In the aftermath, the Xytheran armada awaited her command. She could have rebuilt her empire, conquered the galaxy anew. Instead, Azelara turned to Kael. "You have seen what power can do. Would you trust me with it again?" Kael hesitated. "I trust you, not the weapon you carry." Her expression softened. "Then perhaps that is why I must leave it behind." She ordered the fleet to scatter, to seed the stars with peace, not domination. Then she looked at Kael one last time. "You reminded me that mercy is not weakness," she said, "and that even the smallest act of kindness can awaken the greatest force in the universe." Kael smiled faintly. "Guess we both needed saving." She stepped close, placing a hand over his heart. "When you look at the stars, remember, not all empires are built on power. Some are built on gratitude." Light enveloped her as she ascended to her flagship. Moments later, the Xytheran fleet faded into warp, leaving only a single beacon behind, glowing in orbit. Kael retrieved it. Inside was a message, written in golden symbols that translated automatically on his visor. "Healed by kindness. Awakened by faith. May the galaxies remember what humanity reminded me, that mercy can move stars." Epilogue. Years later, Kael Renn became a legend, the man who saved the Empress of a forgotten empire. Some called him a liar. Others called him a hero. But sometimes on quiet nights, he'd look up at the stars and see a faint shimmer moving across the sky, like a whisper of silver light. And he'd smile, knowing the galaxy's deadliest warrior was out there, watching, guarding, remembering the human who chose compassion over fear.